All right, thanks for joining everyone. John here, staff software engineer with 10 plus years of experience. I'm the lead maintainer of ladderly.io, the website in front of us. And we are migrating to the T3 stack away from blitz.js. blitz.js is a higher order framework. It is a full stack toolkit including Next.js. So it'll include things like the ORM, opinionated linter setup, and more out of the box. Really nifty tool set, but I have run into problems integrating social authentication, login with Google, which is a high demand feature from my users. So for that reason, I'm migrating over to the T3 stack, which includes social authentication out of the box. It initially ships with Discord, but switching into Google is not too painful. And so this is localhost. The website is open source. Here's the repo. You can check it out yourself. And you can see at the top level, there's a Blitz app and a ladderly-io, which is the T3 app. So it's a monorepo pattern, and we're basically taking bits from the production website here and moving them into the work-in-progress localhost website here. So some of the things we'll start with this Ladderly logo. That should be pretty easy. A couple errors here. We want to fix that up. The look and feel of the top nav bar, and then authentication. So let me jot down 5 things that I'd like to do. We may or may not get to all these. This is aspirational. 5 things for current stream, which is the part 2 of migration to T3 app, also known as create T3 app. 1 is logo update, 2 is top nav bar style, 3 is authentication fix, including sign in and out. Stretch goal of sign up. There were 5 things. What else? What else am I missing? Oh, the site meta, title, and favicon. And then I don't know, maybe in my mind that was 4 and 5. Let's do a quick scan and see if there is anything else. This is looking pretty, oh, this is the prod one. I was like, this looks pretty good. Subnav style, if that's not included. Okay, so this would be the top subnav. And then clearing the errors. Okay, so this is what we'll try to get to today. And let me mark this on the GitHub issue. So I'll just copy the screenshot over to the existing GitHub issue. Oh, I haven't created the pull request yet. That's fine. This will be considered a P0, I think. No? What is the label? Thought I had a P0 label. Type something wrong, I guess. Okay, this one, yeah. So there's part 2. It's kind of the current state. I checked out this thing, NextForge. That was one of the things I checked out earlier. Got a shout out from Guillermo. By the way, I'm a huge fan of Guillermo, super sharp guy. NextForge is cool, but I ended up not going with it. If you want to know why, you can check out my saved YouTube stream called Against NextForge, parentheses November 2024. Next year, I'll be happy to check it out again. It's really promising, but it's not at the stage where I feel confident in it. Welcome in. We got people joining across channels. And so let's get into some code. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, drop a like, drop a follow. I teach people to code, and then I also love feedback from the community as well if you're already a coder. So either way, welcome in. Also memes. If you've got a hot meme, who doesn't love a hot meme, you know? Let's close these. There's too many tabs. So I'm going to focus in on the homepage content. So I'll open this one and I'll close others. Here I'm using Cursor. Cursor has been proving extremely useful for the migration because of the autocomplete. autocomplete, super powerful in cursor. In the past, I've been sort of critical of cursor because specifically the chat feature here, the AI chat, is really not very good in my experience. But the tab autocomplete is super powerful. So I'm sticking with it for now. And we can see that it's complaining about unauthorized. So that may correlate. Let me close these. I'm done with that now. I'll even close this one, sure. And I already have the feature branch going. So I do work with feature branches. And so if I git branch, you can see I have the prefix 341 referring to the GitHub issue. 341. So that's how that's going to map. And we'll pull up the pull request when I have a few more commits. I'll draft that pull request. Let's bring the logo over. That's an easy way to start, isn't it? I think it's just logo.png. What is it on in production? I'll inspect this. I think I have a ping file, PNG. Logo.png, right? It's kind of encoded within the Next.js, but we can read it. Logo.png. So here it is. It's in the blitz. So I'll go to the folder structure. So we're under the, oh, and actually I can bring all of these. The favicon, the robots, everything, the sitemap as well. Let's copy all of this. So I'll collapse this public, I'll collapse the Blitz app, I'll go over to the laterally IO and go to the public over here. And let me delete the favicon there and paste right in. I'm pasting, I'm not moving because I don't want to break prod. So until the migration is complete, prod will remain the Blitz app, and this will just be an additional thing that you can run on localhost until it works. Then we'll do a cut over just like that once it's ready to cook. And you can see, let's see, let me kill this server. I want to run them both side by side. So npm run dev in the Blitz app, and you can see I have a shell using git bash, and this shell is named Blitz. And then I have another shell named T3, and then a third, and let me rename this third. I'll call this git plus scratch. We can kind of run scripts and do the git commit and so forth over there. So localhost 3000 will be the legacy app, which is equivalent to prod. And then I'll npm run dev. You can see it's saying that 3000 is already occupied, and Next is smart enough to proceed to 3001, and that succeeds. Control click here to pop it open. And yeah, and you can see the logo was updated just like that. So here is, this is still prod. Let me open 3000. So I have the legacy app over here. It's looking good. And then here is the current one. It's looking less good. But we already fixed that logo, so let me commit the logo. We love small commits, and this will be feat, migrate, logo, and other public resources. Here I'm using conventional commit. You got the feat colon, and then you break the line if you want some additional text down there. Keep that title commit short. Push that up. Now that this is pushed, I think the branch is already published, so I should be able to pull now. Yeah, GitHub already saying, hey, we saw you pushed something. Do you want to make a pull request? I'd love to. Thank you so much. And I'll call this feat migrate to T3 app. I'll do this as a draft PR. And good. The reason that I like to pull these while I'm working is so that the builds can proceed in the background. And here I see that previous builds were already succeeding, which I didn't know until now. And then we have the yellow for the one in progress. There's the migrate logo commit. I have a preview environment from earlier today. And this will be showing the Blitz build, not the T3 build. So here, it looks really nice. That doesn't mean we're done. It just means there haven't been any regressions. Make sense? Thanks so much for joining. If you think it's interesting so far, throw a like on the video. Feel free to share it with a friend. If you know somebody who's interested in coding, or maybe they already code, love to connect. So that's just a preview environment. It looks pretty good. And let's proceed to what do we want to do next. We could take care of these errors. I hate to see these error things, but then also the style over the page is kind of messed up, right? Really, the top nav bar, I'm just going to work from the top down. Just going to work from the top down. And so dark mode is propagating. We can tell because product hunt is toggling. So it's not like the providers are messed up. Like logically it's working. The style is just missing. So maybe there's a style sheet not connecting. Let's dive in and figure it out. Let's delve in, as ChatGPT would say. Let's delve in. So this component is called the top nav, and then the right section is destructured further into a top nav right component. And I think this would be the top nav left. The top nav left looks good to me. We can test this out. If I just force the background of the whole top nav div right here, if I just force it to be some obvious color, let's go red or black, background black. So you can see that the border radius on those icons are looking correct. And maybe I want a black and white theme. Like that looks pretty good, eh? Maybe I'll do so I have light and dark mode, but maybe I should get like a jet black theme. Feel free to drop a comment or join the Latterly Discord, or, if you want to get that feature prioritized. I'm generally responsive to the community. But what this tells me is that the top nav left doesn't seem to have a problem. So I'm thinking the issue will be in the top nav component. I'll refresh the page to wipe out the temporary style that I applied in the element style block. And let's go to that top nav. So Control P, top nav. And here I can see in the file path, this is the blitz top nav, and then I'll bring for comparison I can fuzzy type laterally IO top nav and get the T3 app, or the laterally IO prefix standing for the new T3 app. So this is the new one. And let's just compare them. One thing that really sticks out is the single quote to double quote and semicolon change. What that tells me is that prettier is not being applied here. I already have an issue for that. I'm going to sideline that for now. So if we go to the GitHub issue, I already mentioned that there's a prettier issue. We can make that a stretch goal for the current stream. It will create a bit of git diff noise because it changes like all the lines. But it's not logically going to it's not going to logically create the issue. Okay, so something else is going on logically. Does that make sense? If you're doing a visual comparison, you'll notice a syntax difference, double quote, semicolon, but that's not changing, that's not causing the render issue that we see with that absent background color. Does that make sense? Cool. Here I can see an href issue. This is cool. This is an improvement in the T3 typing. That is still not causing the issue, although it's something that our eye might be attracted to due to our IDE, calling out the red squiggle, calling out the red dot on the right-hand scroll bar. So it is something that needs fixed, but it's not causing the issue. What could be causing the issue here? Let's scroll down. I'm seeing menu context. ML auto hidden. Looks pretty similar to me. One thing I could do, I can just copy the whole legacy file, dump it here, and save. And just look at the git diff that's generated. Here I notice the type difference on the signature. That will not create the issue. So it looks like there's nothing in this file, actually. Oh, okay, hold on. The Control Z. The import on dark mode classes could be an issue. So do I have theme utils? Nope, I have theme utils. So this is not the issue either. So it looks like there's nothing wrong actually in this page. Maybe there's something wrong in the menu provider. But the menu provider I brought over just today, you can see I have the inline, it's a light gray. It might be hard to see on the screen, but it says U 3 hours ago. So I just brought this over like earlier today. That's from the GitLens extension, by the way. Highly recommend that extension. And a lot of the extensions that I like will be mentioned in .vs Code extensions. Lens. So you can see there's git lens right there. So if you clone down the laterally repo, it'll mention the extensions that I like. Okay, so I'm not suspecting this theme utils file. I'm not suspecting the top nav itself. What else could be creating this? The global file? Could be the global file. Yeah. Okay. I do have a single global file in the Blitz app. So Blitz global. The Neverworld, what's up? So here is the Blitz app global file, and let me compare with the laterally IO global CSS, and I notice a difference, don't I? This is one of the reasons that we don't like global CSS. We call this indirection. So looking through the code files, there's no specific reference to this file, right? So I would just have to know that at the framework level, there's a global style being set. And that really appears to be the only candidate explanation. So that's one of these magic things that I kind of just have to know. And that's why we generally don't like global style. It makes it hard to debug because it's hard for you to say, given this component is the problem, there's no specific reference to that CSS. So I could copy it over. In fact, we can just kind of test this out. But what I might like to do more than that, no, I'm going to copy this over because you see these are dealing with HTML and body. I was going to say what I might like to do more than that is encapsulate it within the top nav. But these styles are not meant to be encapsulated. They're not. Tailwind base, Tailwind components, Tailwind utilities. I'm actually not going to bring these over. It might change the font size of italic text a little bit, but this will not explain the difference in the background color specifically. So let's really anchor on that background color. You see the purple back here? Yeah, and immediately, as soon as I said that, I realized the issue. So the issue is my Tailwind config. So this purple right here is a custom purple. It's a custom purple, and I have not mentioned that to, by the way, I'm going to delete these in the main branch or in the main submodule in the Blitz app so that there's no diff between the globals now. Just to make that obvious for the next person that comes along and looks, they see there's no diff in the global to rule out that as an explanation. But on second thought, it is pretty straightforward anyway. I need the custom colors to be declared in my Tailwind config for the new site. And so that absent definition will default to, even if the class name is being used, here I'll show you. So like in the dark mode standard classes, laterally dark purple 2, it just doesn't mean anything to the T3 app because I haven't defined that new color yet. Does that make sense? So let's go get it. So Tailwind, here's the Blitz app, Tailwind config.js, and then the new Tailwind config TS, there's an improvement, and you can see really stark difference. So here's laterally gradient white violet, basically all of my custom colors, laterally off-white, laterally violet, and so forth are all missing from this new one. And so I'll grab this on my clipboard. And what I can do over here, I can Control A, Control K. This is a cursor feature, not a VS Code feature. And I will say, update this Tailwind config to include the custom styles defined in a similar legacy Tailwind config. And then I'll literally paste it. Okay, so I've pasted all that context and I hit enter to submit, and cursor is getting to work, just basically moving the lines over appropriately. I could have just grabbed the relevant chunks myself, but I think this is a nice way to do it. I don't like the satisfies config expression here. So I'll save this. We can go look at the UI. And it's rightly complaining about the typography plugin for Tailwind, which is something that I need for my blog. So this is just a Tailwind plugin that I need to install. I'm going to drag this over. I think this is on the right track. I'll close my others. So now I just have these two. I'm going to kill my T3 server and install the Tailwind typography plugin. Let me command P, blitz package JSON. So this is where your installed projects and packages will be declared. So if I look for typography, here it is under the dev dependencies. I think it's not a dev dependency. I think this is a runtime dependency as well. Maybe because the blog is statically compiled, we get away with that. But in the future, if I want to use it at runtime, that's going to be confusing. So anyway, this is the package, but I'm going to install it not as a dev dependency. I'm just going to npmi. Okay, so that installed it. Now let's run dev. And so this was the error. Let's see if it goes away now. And now we're looking good, right? So now I have the purple that I want. The dark purple is not toggling. That's bad news bears. Why is the dark purple not toggling? And I see on my HTML, I'm looking at this substring light for light mode. Swaps over to dark, that is expected. But you see it's different than over here. Here's light mode, here's dark mode. And I'm not really worried about these cards. They may be visually attractive, like you may notice those, but those are not sort of equipped yet. The real issue is that it's not cascading to this top nav, which I do expect to work. So what could be the root cause for that? We have some good news so far, so maybe I should just lock in where I am, probably. So I'll say feat migrate tailwind config. I'll push that. I'm going to do a once over again on the config, specifically looking for that dark mode stuff, but I actually don't think that'll be the issue. I think the provider cascade is the issue. Let's do one thing at a time. So let's look at this, and then we'll look at the provider cascade. So let me look at my old one. Module exports versus import and export. That's okay. That's just a difference in syntax between the TypeScript and the JavaScript. So really, I'm looking here. And yeah, I do notice a difference, right? This is just talking about TSX. Source app pages, JavaScript. That's also okay because the new T3 app is only using the app router, where the Blitz app is using a combination of app router and legacy pages router. And that's due to the way Blitz.js works. Blitz.js has an RPC server that is supposed to be within the pages folder according to Blitz. So that's another reason for getting away from Blitz, is that it's really inhibiting my migration into the app router as well, besides the social authentication issues. Really not even besides, those are related concerns, but I'm not gonna get into that. Basically, I think even though this is a diff, it's innocuous. Dark mode class looks good. Theme extend the sans font family. And here I'm noticing another difference. Font family sans. Do I have the caps default? I do, under typography. Okay, so I think this font family thing is coming from T3. I'll leave it alone. I guess that's just a T3 preset font. I don't care, that's fine. Background color. There's like a line break of a difference. That shouldn't do anything. Background color is similar. Let me bring over the note. I guess that note got lost. It's not a big deal. A lot of the language models will exempt code comments. I'll bring in a line break here. It doesn't really matter, but it breaks up the violets and the purples from these kind of miscellaneous colors. That won't cause an issue with the code. It's just for kind of like readability. Font size seems fine, a rim to a rim. 25 margin. And then I don't really like this satisfies config. Do I need that? Is that helping me in any way? Seems like the thing works anyway. I'm generally not a fan of the satisfies operator because it's a lax operator, and I like stronger types. So here I'm exporting something that has to technically comply with, not just satisfy, but comply with the config. So this is going to be a stronger declaration. I could import that type if I just wanted to say, like, if I wanted to bind this type specifically, I don't really care to do that because the purpose of Tailwind config is to export a config. So I don't think the developer gets much additional info from that assertion. So I'm going to remove it. Okay, so those were a couple lightweight constructive changes, but they're not going to explain the cascade failure. So here I'll go feat minor readability. Minor readability. I'm not even going to bother to push it, but I'll commit it just to make sure that it's different from when we fix this cascade stuff. So what do I mean by cascade? I'm talking about the theme provider. The theme provider is going to set a theme context, and then everything inside of it should get exposure to that light mode, dark mode. And so if that cascade is set up wrong, then it won't work. Then it won't work. So I think it will be higher order than the homepage content. I think it's going to be in the layout. Okay, so here is the Blitz app page TSX. And now let's go to the laterally IO page TSX. Okay. They look a little different because the T3 app is bringing in this hello post. That's part of the T3 boilerplate. And then session is for authentication. We'll deal with that later, but I think that's working fine. We can see the session type is flowing through properly, so that does not look to be an issue. And even if it were an issue, it would be an issue with logging in and out. It would not be an issue with that theme toggle. So I think we're going to need to look even higher order than the page. Well, what's higher order than a page? In Next.js, it's just the layout. The layout is the only thing it could be. Yeah, and straightforward here, right? We see that I don't have my Tailwind theme provider in this file. So contrast that with the legacy layout, which has a whole bunch of shenanigans going on, doesn't it? I'm not seeing the theme here. Maybe I'm just missing it. So the layouts are different, but it's not super obvious. Where the theme is being injected. There are a bunch of metadata differences. These are going to be important because one of the things we want to do is fix the metadata for the site, like the title of the site. What's the meta title of the site? When I hover, you see, by the way, I fixed my favicon, so they both have the ladder favicon now, but one of them says laterally land your next programming role, the other says create T3 app. That's the title of the site, and this is going to show up in Google search results. So we want to get that fixed. That is the meta title. It's a metadata of the page. We call it metadata because it's about the page. That's what makes it meta, as opposed to page content, which is rendered on the site. This is going to be about the page, and then it's used by external programs that are outside of this, what we call the site body. And one of those external programs will be the browser that renders it for this tab. but also search results are going to be a big one. Okay, so we'll get that fixed, but that still doesn't explain the lack of a dark purple back here. And you see it says dark : BG laterally dark purple 2. So the class is there that should trigger on dark mode. It's not like the class is absent. Let me go to the background color as computed. You can see the light purple is the one that is effective, and that's expected in light mode. But when I toggle into dark mode, the dark mode is not even made effective. So it's like the toggle is not registering. Does that make sense? That's why I think it is a theme provider issue. Okay, so I feel like I'm on the right track, but we haven't seen where that theme provider is injected. So let me just go to the theme provider itself. Control P, theme context is the technical name. So I'll close others. This is the Blitz app theme context. This is the one that works. Control C, Control Shift F, Control V. And you can see it exists in the other app, like I brought it over. There's a little difference here with the typing, that's fine. Cursor, tab, autocomplete fixes that, no problem. Here's the actual provider. And that is used inside of this theme provider. Okay, makes sense. This all looks good. And this is exported under use theme. So I guess use theme, I guess I'm not using it in the new site correctly. So here's the old use theme. Cool. How's it used? In this laterally helps content block, which might be too low in the rendering tree. I might need to move that up. Oh no, okay, I see why that's used. That's used specifically because of the product hunt URL. And that's being used correctly in the new site. Here's the new site. Actually, the product hunt URL is the only thing doing it correctly. So I guess we can compare, but I expect this to be equivalent. Here's the new homepage content. Okay, here's use theme. It's used in the laterally helps block for the product hunt source URL. So that's working. Okay, so that's one place that the theme function is called, but it looks like it's called in some other places. So I guess the problem will be in one of those other places. Cool, we got over 15 viewers across channels. Welcome all. If you're interested in coding or if you already code, I hope you'll give the video some likes and follow the page. Thank you so much for being here. Drop a comment or a question if you have any. I'll try to address them as I go along. Happy Friday. So this homepage content seems to be doing well in both sites. So I'm looking through the find all files result. Theme context seems to look good in both. The theme toggle could be a difference. So let's look at the theme toggle, the old and the new. They look identical to me, but how are they used? So the theme toggle components are equivalent. Here I have a home icon. Home TSX. Components icons home TSX. And I don't know. I think that's going to be different in the laterally IO site. Oh, no, it's not. Okay. These are also equivalent. All right. So this home TSX is not the root cause. So here's the top nav left using the theme toggle on the legacy site. Here's the top nav left using the theme toggle in the new site. They also seem equivalent. with the difference just being the structure of import, that's fine. Yeah, they really seem similar. Okay, the last, and this is a guess that I have. The last guess that I have is that I think T3 might ship with dark mode. And if there is an existing dark mode that's like overriding, that could be an issue. So let me go to the official documentation. The reason I think it ships with dark mode is because the site has dark mode on it. So let me look for dark mode. No. Okay, so I'm not getting a direct answer. So at this point, I almost want to go over to ChatGPT because the sort of like things that I would normally check, I'm starting to run out of them. Let me just see if there's anything else. It seems to me at this point that there is some configuration that's not being passed. Or the other thing it could be is if these errors are just preventing rendering. You see how there's like a bunch of these errors? Let's look into these here. Okay, all right, here we go. Yeah, so the rendering chain, so React has like a tree, and I told you I wanted to cascade that provider through the tree, but if that tree is broken, it might just freeze rendering downstream of the error. And so what I'm noticing now that I'm paying attention to these errors is that it's complaining literally about this button. You see, text did not match the server. So let's see if I can fix that. It can't be overstated that Latterly was crucial to my career. This is just an encoding. This should not be a big deal, but let's go ahead and fix it anyway. Does that exist on the legacy site? No. Okay. So for some reason, text did not match. P div main theme. For some reason, this is agitating the TRPC React provider. All right, so let's look for that. So these are similar blocks, right? Similar blocks, but in the new setup, it's agitating the renderer. It says use client, also use client, source app home. They're in the same location. Okay. So here's where the testimonials are rendered. We could just escape this. We could just do some escaping. I'm curious why it's necessary under T3 and it wasn't necessary under Blitz. It seems really unrelated if it is that, because this portion of the rendering tree is really distinct from the top nav. So I feel like it's, unrelated. I'm not even sure what the diff here. The diff here is the grammatical quotes I'd, right? I apostrophe D. Client I apostrophe D. Oh no, it's because it's random. Got it. So this is a random function. So if it runs on the server, it's gonna select a different bit of text compared to what the client selects. And I guess that's irritating the compiler. That's okay, we can lift some of that state up. In fact, this could be a server component, actually. So we could lift some of the state up, and that would align them. We could also make this into a server component. I like that idea because it preserves a really simple page here. So homepage content. What if I made this into a server component? I don't like that this is called homepage and this is also called homepage. I don't like that. So I'm going to rename this homepage content, as is what it's called when it's imported. Import homepage content. Okay. All right, so this is called homepage content. I don't think that would have fixed the issue by itself. But now this, what of this can be moved into the server? I think pretty much all of it, eh? This bit needs to be on the client. Maybe, at least for now. But a lot of the other stuff, is this an unnecessary server call? Can we get this on the server side? Yeah, so that can be moved to the server as well. A lot of this can be moved to the server. Is pricing grid used anywhere besides the homepage? I don't think so. It's only used on the homepage content. So if homepage content becomes a server component, then pricing grid can also be a server component. Okay, so let me delete the use client there. And then this is no longer a client component, it's now a server component. Since it is a server component, then I shouldn't need to use the TRPC React. I should be able to use the TRPC server, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, then I don't need to use query. Cool. This might need to become a promise. I'm not sure. I might need to move that bit into a client component. Maybe that bit into a client component. Let's see what the UI says. You're importing a component that needs create context. Ah, okay, so the theme context itself wants to be a client component. That's okay. I could move some of these files out of this. I could move some of these components out of this file, which is probably good anyway. I mean, how long is this file? It's not that long, but it's like, it doesn't hurt. Code with Sahir. Hello, I'm from Pakistan. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So I could break up this file. That's like, feels like always a good move. The other thing I can do, if I'm not mistaken, I can use client and then I can still use server on subcomponents, if I'm not mistaken. So what if I just use server on this one? See if I can do that. It is not allowed to define inline and use server. To use server actions in a client component, you can either export them from a separate file or pass them down through props. Okay, so let's split up the file. No problem. Karam, hey man, I got a question not related to your code content specifically. Hit me. While he's getting his question ready, we'll start to break this up. So here in home, I will make new file, testimonial block.tsx. Collapse this along with the data that is tightly coupled to it, and properly so. Cut these, put them over here, and then here I'll say use server. Default testimonial, okay. This can be the default testimonial, no problem. Oh, and the type as well, sure. And we'll export these bits. Ah, and here's that. You know what? It may all have just been due to that single grammatical quote. I actually hope the issue persists so that I can prove it was just that single quote. But this is nice anyway. It shrinks the file, eh? This looks good. You're importing a component that needs server only. That only works in a server component, which is not supported in the pages directory. Well, I don't think I'm in the pages directory, am I? Oh, is this considered to be like a pages directory? Let me try to move this over to components. If this works, that's news to me. Interesting. So it's acting like the file is in the pages directory, but it's not. If you're in the position of a computer engineer, would you emphasize on the hardware or software portion? I'd go software. I'd go software. That's my advice. Let's do a quick Google. What are the job titles that you're interested in? Oops. By the way, I'm assuming United States. I don't know if that's true for you. 55K plus jobs. Let's switch over to hardware engineer. 35K plus jobs, right? Not to mention the fact that if you go for like JavaScript, like there's countless others. That's just like there's like another 35K on JavaScript. So Latterly suggests starting with a full stack portfolio. This is going to include HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then I really encourage you to go for TypeScript. And so you're gonna get a lot more job hits by going that way, I believe. So that's my advice. Hope that helps. Okay, so this has been like a fun learning that if you sort of try to have a use server inside of a use client, it doesn't like that. You can pass it down through props, but I don't like that. And so let me undo what's going on here. And then I think it really is just due to that grammatical quote. I'm going to maintain all of the sort of import movements to shrink down this file, but I'm going to take the testimonial block and move it into the home folder where I think it better belongs. Do I want to update imports? Yes. Okay, so that one got updated. I think it's still complaining. Right, I want to go remove the use server bit. Okay, so this is going to be using client, and it's still complaining on the string. You're importing a component that needs server only. Do I need to explicitly say use client then? Maybe so. Import headers from next headers. Oh, this is the one that's complaining, is it? Where's that being used? Yeah, this is server only. Create context here. Okay, so this is what I'm learning. Anytime I use the create context here, then I need server only. So what does that have to do with over here? None of these depend on that context. Is it just because it's downstream of that context? That's interesting. The theme might be brought in through the laterally page wrapper. That's also something to think about. Okay, so I think I want to revert a bunch of basically all of my changes here. Let me see if I stop this and if I rerun it, do I get the same issue? I expect I do get the same issue. Thanks, have a blessed day. Thank you, thanks for being here. Yeah, so it's still complaining. That's okay. So we'll revert our recent changes and then try to fix that single grammatical quote, which is nice in a different way, right? It's a smaller change. Oh no, this is the one that it's complaining about. Pricing grid here must be server only. Can I say use server here? Oh, look at the infinite loop. How did that happen? That's awesome, dude. We got an infinite loop somehow. We got an infinite loop because calling get user resulted in unauthorized. Oh, yeah, okay. I think I made this router wrong. So I'm expecting that if you're logged out, then get current user returns like null. But instead what's happening is it's saying that you're just not allowed to call get current user, which I don't expect. Okay, so I think I wrote this query incorrectly. Can CTX be null? Maybe it's expecting that you're authenticated. This is unrelated to the grammatical quote, but this is still interesting. I could put a debugger in here. I don't know if that's the right way to go. No? So what if this is not a protected procedure? What if this is a public procedure? It's possibly null. Okay. That's what I'm looking for. So if there's no session, then return null. Okay, I was thinking that if you're a guest, you have like a blank session, but it's saying you don't have a session at all. Why is it calling it over and over? That's what I don't understand. I'm doing Alt left to go back in my IDE history. Okay. Well, it's trying to render it, but it's re-rendering over and over. I think I want to come back to this. This might work if the rest of the rendering tree is proper, but I don't want to be, I think I'm like mixing fixes and that's causing an issue. So let me revert that. Theme context, this is just a bunch of double quote changes. Like there's nothing really here. So I'll revert that. It was just a type change on children, which is not the issue. Testimonial block, I think this is looking good still. I'll revert this for now, although like maybe this should be to do. Maybe this should be public and return null if no ctx.session. Okay, so I'll stage this users for now. And this is really what I want to focus on, this testimonial block. It says ready. Okay, so it looks good, but I do get the issue that things are different, right? I think it's just the grammatical quote. So I'll come back over here. Testimonial. This is the legacy one. So let me go to the new testimonial. And this is nice because I can go there more directly. So that's another good reason to break up your components, right? Let me switch this bad boy out. And I'm still seeing 2 errors. Yeah, because it's selecting a different one. So it's not just the grammatical quote. Okay, so maybe I do need to pass it down as props. I hate passing stuff down as props, you know? No problem. No problem. This still renders, right? So the whole use server, use client thing was not to do with this file. What if I try to use server over here? Now it wants to render over and over and over. Can only export async functions. Ah, interesting. So I could return a promise. I really don't want to return a promise because it is instantly computable. You know, that was one of the things that's nice about this. So I guess I have to pass it down as a prop. I'm not really stoked about that, but what are you going to do? All right, and now it is complaining about the theme again. So the theme needs to be in a client component. So where do I actually use the theme? So here's use theme. This one, this needs to be use client. All right, I think I need to raise basically this entire file up. Laterally helps content block. Yeah, let's break these apart. Okay, let's break these apart. So this is the laterally helps content block, and you're the one who needs a theme. Call it the laterally helps block. And so you absolutely need to use client because you have the theme. So now I can delete use theme from here. Where are these dark mode classes being used? Okay, that's fine. Oh, and now I see the propagation issue. So if these are rendered on the server, then when I toggle the theme, they're not being re-rendered. I think this might be the issue. Is there an equivalent to, is there a server-side equivalent to use theme? No way, because then you're like calling the server to change. Let me check the network tab. I think we're not calling the server to change the theme, right? That wouldn't make sense. Yeah, there's no server call. And we don't want there to be a server call. Cannot access Gint current user on the server. This is in the pricing grid. Okay. So you're on the server now. Oh, did that just happen? Cool. Now we're getting the unauthorized error, but at least it's not like looping. That's kind of good, maybe. Get current user is now passing. Why is it polling? Oh, is it when I click? Oh, I think it's when I click onto the page, it calls again. Let me clear this out. So it's empty, right? I think when I come back to the page, it's gonna like call again automatically. Yeah. Is it normal for TRPC to just poll like this? I don't really understand why it called like 4 times, but I guess it's not that big of a deal. All right, and so now on the server, this is being selected and rendered. Did we get rid of the skeleton? We might have gotten rid of the skeleton, which is also nice. So let me redo this. I wonder if I'm going to get a skeleton component on first load, or if it's just gone now. Yeah, there's no skeleton component now, right? All right, compare that to the legacy app. I'll restart the legacy app. And let's check out what happens on first load. It was super fast. Okay. Maybe, so I did see the skeleton there, but it was really fast. Maybe it was also in this new one as well. It was just really fast or something. Invalid response or stream interrupted. Oh, is returning null like this like not cool? Let me ask. Is the way that I'm returning null early in get current user leading to this error? Likely not the direct cause. Suggested modification. Okay, that's fine with me. No, I don't like that, dude. I'm just gonna return null. It still registers the type or null. Yeah, it still registers the type, so that's not the problem. Image domains configuration is deprecated. Okay, cool. That got rid of a little warning. Let's commit that. Users, TS. Okay, so this feature is get current user as pub procedure. This is fix deprecated config property. Okay. Laterally helps block. Let's sort the TypeScript imports. Okay, so the feature here is like we split out the laterally helps block. That's an improvement. We haven't solved the main, well, I guess we got rid of the little red errors, so that's nice. We haven't solved the background color yet though. That's okay, one thing at a time. So here, oh, yeah, I did mean to call it, oops. This should be an async function now. I'll commit this separately. So this feature is decompose some components. And now the pricing grid is going to be async. So I think we need to wrap it in suspense maybe. Let's try it without doing that, but I think we're going to need to. Can I do this? I don't think I can do this. A promise of a React functional component. Oh, can I do that? So they're natively promisable. I did not realize that. Dope. So React functional components are natively promisable. That's super clean, to be honest with you. Do I need to wrap it in suspense now? No? Why do I have the other guy in suspense then? Do I just not need suspense for y'all anymore? Maybe that's like a newer next thing. I'm not sure. Okay, so a lot of this is looking better, although I have this stuff which I don't like. Not liking this on the console on the homepage. Okay, so pricing grid is async. It's not really async. It's like, well, yeah, it is, because it's like using the server now. So the feature is pricing grid uses server. So it's computed server side now. That's cool. All right. Homepage went on a diet. That's nice. It's about 100 lines less. And I still can lift this up So this is all using server now. So I can lift this up if I want to, but I don't necessarily need to. Don't necessarily need to. And so the theme problem will not be here anymore, right? Except for the fact that these bad boys may not get re-rendered on theme change. Yeah, so where's my theme provider? Theme provider. All right, so in the Blitz app, I have this theme provider on the mobile menu. Okay, that's fine. Not looking at the mobile menu right now. I have this theme provider in the layout, layout.tsx. And I also have it in this layout. So that's the problem. Yeah, this layout is not being used at all. That's the problem. So my theme provider is not being used. Nice. Nice. So here's the home page. I could wrap the whole home page in a theme provider. I could use it in my layout. I think this is maybe the cleanest place to use it, right? Let's use it inside of the TRPC provider. This might not work because the theme provider the whole time has been telling us that it needs to be on the server, but I'm like, or that it needs to be on the client. But I'm like, nah, bro, I'm gonna try and use you on the server, bro. Because I'm a bad boy, dude. What can I say? You're importing a component that needs to use client. You know what? You know what? All right, so now I am going to check. Is there a use server equivalent to theme provider? Which is a very poorly poised question for Google. You can use a use theme hook. So this stuff could work, but I want to actually ask the chat and like locally here where it has more context on what we're doing. Yes, for server-side theme handling and Next, you can use the cookies function. Is that what we want to do? We want to use cookies? Let's go to the docs again. We're in light mode, we're in dark mode, we refresh, and we're still in dark mode. I close the page, I come back, and I'm still in dark mode. Is it not in local storage? See, local storage is saying dark mode. Now local storage is still saying dark mode, and now local storage is saying light mode. So on the T3 app, they're storing it in local storage. I like that. What do you think, chat? I like local storage usage more than cookie usage. But is usage just using cookies? I'd rather use local storage. I'd rather use local storage compared to HTTP request cookies. Does the cookie store use local storage? No, it uses HTTP cookies, right? I don't want to use cookies, dog. I'm going to rage tweet. Use local storage, not cookies. Just quickly rage tweeted that on my other tab. We are so back. Yeah, I'm cool with this. Theme initializer pattern. That's what I'm, see, you can use client embedded in a server component. I know things. I know things. I promise I know some things. Okay, so let's try to apply this. promise you I know some things, dude. You have to put it in parentheses. Is that for real? For theme detection. Is that really how you do that? No way. I thought I can use client over here. Before I go wrecking things, let me just try what Cursor said. So I'm going to comment that. All right, so I'm on my site. Use client directive must be placed before other expressions. Move it to the top of the file to resolve this issue. Oh, Bummerville. Cursor, you go to jail. But what if I do it here? Is this allowed? Now you're importing a component that needs create context, so we get that same issue. But, so what I could do is I could just make the whole layout a client component. I don't want to do that. Maybe I need to do that, huh? So I render the skeleton and then I hydrate with the theme. That's what I was doing in the legacy app. It seems like the normal way to do things. So I'm going to revert this. But I like that we're messing with this file because you see the metadata. I need to change that stuff anyway. So this is the real layout. So I'm going to grab all of this. And then does this include the skeleton? Where's the skeleton? No. Theme provider, do you have the skeleton? No. Skeleton. Homepage skeleton. So where am I using this guy? Maybe I'm not using it in the new site at all yet. Suspense fallback. Is that the right way to do it? Yeah, because this is the homepage skeleton. I don't necessarily want to use this on every page. So by that logic, then I should inject the theme here under the skeleton because I don't want the theme applied to the skeleton, right? How's my logic, chat? Even if it's not optimal, it's at least parity, so I don't really feel bad doing this. So what this is saying is, Fishy Codes, what up, gang? That I would apply the theme at this level. And that does make sense. So here you're still a server component. I can bring the theme here, and then it will wrap the top nav, right? So this is the big L layout. This is a blitz layout. Ooh, no, bad. Yeah, so this is where I was doing it. Okay, so this makes sense as the logical location, but I don't want a blitz layout here. Got it. So I'm going to copy all of this and go to my new cool T3, and I'm going to say, hey, cursor, migrate the legacy blitz.js layout onto the new T3 stack layout. Let's see how it does. So this will fix the page meta, I think. Yeah, but now like the whole page needs to be a client component, which I don't really like. What else would I do though? It loads so quickly. And if I use dark mode, it's like it loads so quickly that the theme is initial dark. I guess the whole thing is a client component, huh? It just loads really quick. No, they're streaming stuff in after the fact. Look, you can see that YouTube embed streaming in after the fact, right? Am I tripping? Let's see how this is done. Introduction. Astro. The T3 site is actually using Astro. There's something ironic about that. Okay. This is the landing page. Oops. So how do we know it's the landing page? The best way. Whoa, that's crazy. Yeah, it's all using Astro. There's something awkward about the fact that the Create T3 app site uses Astro, no? Am I tripping on that? Maybe not, I guess if it's a fully static site. Okay, so I can't necessarily use that as a reference for what I'm doing. That's fine. So who cares if the whole page is a client component? Who actually cares? I mean, performance, like loading performance, right? Why is this coming back up? Oh, okay, this is the Blitz site now. I feel like this is not a good pattern if the whole site is use client. The whole layout is use client. Where is the theme provider typically injected? Where is the theme provider typically injected? I feel like my layout ts.tsx should not be a client component. I am expecting to have a fallback skeleton component, but I want my homepage to load very quickly. ideally, I can load the home page statically and stream in any bits to do with authentication. Okay, so it's moved to its own thing. TRPC provider. Oh, the TRPC provider already is a client component, eh? So the whole thing is a client component. So what does it matter? There isn't any meaningful performance benefit. Okay. So it's fine to have it here. I guess the metadata is server rendered. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I think that's the only benefit we're dealing with. Okay, so here's TRPC React. I'll go ahead and make a provider component. That's fine. So this would be like base utils or something, core utils or core components. This will be so core components. And it is, it is sometimes called a provider. I've seen these things. Great, now I'm a meme. I am become meme. Let's do it. So this is the provider. This is the provider.tsx. Nice. I feel like such a freaking meme right now. All right, that's okay. So look, my whole site isn't client rendered, just my whole site except the metadata. Lit. The things we do for dark mode, eh? Okay, but it's still not passing through. So here, I have my theme provider pointing to the good new location. It checks local storage. Great, that's better than cookies. This is the default root layout. Love to see it. And that wraps children. And so the child of the layout will be the page itself. So here's the page. We render the home page, fall back to the skeleton, and this is all inside of my theme provider now. So this is all inside of a theme context now. So I go into my home page and the laterally page wrapper, and now I need this to not be using a blitz layout anymore. Do I use these slug titles consistently? So the reason I did this was for the metadata. Yeah, oh, I forgot about this wrinkle. So all my pages need to export their own meta now. That's okay. We can do that as we migrate. Layout props. Yeah, you just don't have, you just only have children now. So it's a layout wrapping a div. We just don't need that layer anymore because we're doing it in a higher order. How many places do I use children? You're not going to give me the IntelliSense this time around. It's a React node. It's not assignable to this type. Okay, that's fine. So you're not a functional component, that's fine. Yeah, that's right. You're a functional component that takes children. Okay. This looks good to me. And we're still not passing down. That I'm surprised by. I actually thought that would do it. So here's the laterally page wrapper. Here's the top nav. So the top nav is now encapsulated inside. Let me just restart the server. But the top nav is now encapsulated inside of the theme context. Okay, we can just sort of generically ask chat like, why, bro? So we have the page wrapper. We want to include the top nav context, provider, theme context. Anything else? Maybe the homepage content as well. Okay. And the layout. And I should be able to delete my big L layout. And no one should be using you now. In the laterally IO blitz client wrapper, nobody should be using this blitz client wrapper now. Cool. Okay. When a user clicks the sun emoji, what is this thing called? Toggle, theme toggle. Did we add? Yeah, the theme toggle got added. That's cool. The theme toggle, the background color of the top nav is not updated dynamically as expected. What is the reason? Using a static string that includes, but it's not reactive to theme changes. Yeah, that's the issue. Let's modify the top nav to make it responsive to theme changes. Let's go take a look. Oh, what did I do? Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so what is it proposing that we do? It's proposing, we have the existing imports, use theme is here. It's proposing that we directly use theme. The dark mode classes were being applied statically. Yeah, that should be fine though. The top nav component wasn't listening to theme changes from the theme context. I don't expect this to be an issue because I am using Tailwind CSS, which toggles the dark class at the HTML root. The key issue is that it wasn't reactive. Why did this occur given that the component is nested inside of a theme provider? Because it's using a static string template literal for the class name that's evaluated only once. Even though dark mode is properly set, the component isn't re-rendering. Right? You don't actually need to check the theme value directly. Instead, you can simply use Tailwind's dark mode classes properly. Oh, it's because I put it into a static string. That's the reason it doesn't re-render. Whoa, mind blown. That's a successful debugging, y'all. We figured it out. So I can't extract this freaking stinker. Where'd it go? Where'd you go, stinky boy? Dark mode standard classes. No, there's got to be some way to abstract it, right? This makes sense. You're saying that extracting the static string resulted in caching or not re-rendering the component. But I suspect there is some way to reusably encapsulate in a way that does re-render. Do you know what this would be? Do you know what this would be? Actually, there's going to be a few ways to do it, but hopefully Tailwind has a primitive for it. It's going to be a hook. Yeah, it's going to be a hook. That makes sense. Oh, Schleifer, what up, gang? When did you join? I'm sorry if I was ignoring you, homie. The war is over. I wish it was, bro. I wish it was. Welcome in, though. Thanks so much for being here. By the way, everyone, if you're here, thank you so much for watching. Throw some likes on the video. Hope you're following the page. Consider share the video with a friend. So it's only 2 classes. Yeah. I really hesitate to create a hook for the purpose of 2 classes. Use theme here isn't necessary, but it forces a re-render when the theme changes. Can I just do that everywhere I want the theme to be reactive? But pairing them does make sense. Yeah, pairing them does make sense. That's some wild UI abstraction stuff that I need to make a hook for these two classes. Or using a class name utility with CX or CLSX. Yeah, because that has the shenanigans built in, doesn't it? Return tailwind mode. This could be more idiomatic. This could be more idiomatic. The first approach ensures re-rendering because hooks are evaluated on each render cycle. The second approach with the utility function works because it's evaluated fresh each time the component renders rather than being a static string. The key difference is that both of these ensure the classes are computed during each render rather than being computed once and cached. So yeah, what do we want to do, chat? We can do with dark mode. I think that makes sense. It barely even changed. It's not like that. The using component doesn't have to change that much. Okay, so let's do this with dark mode. Do I have tailwind merge? So let's copy this. Yeah, I don't have tailwind merge installed. I really don't want to add a package for this. Does this approach have any technical advantages? Do I have CLSX or CX already? I'd rather not add an additional package. Deduplicate conflicting tailwind classes, conditionally joining class names, handling arrays and objects of class names. Okay, so we'll do a simple hook. Use dark mode classes. Then I have to merge it myself. Yeah, that's fine. I hate this, but it's fine. Okay. Convert from a static string to a function or a hook in order to force re-rendering. Now, what really bugs me is that this wasn't necessary in the legacy app. Why is that? I guess that's because the legacy app used the blitz provider, which is re-rendering everything under it anyway. Cool. Adding use theme here forces a re-render when theme changes. Using the string literal is a smell that may result in dark mode classes not being applied. Now I'm so tired I can't remember how to do a JavaScript comment. What's going on, dude? Okay. All right, so everywhere that I'm using this today in the laterally IO, I need to be using use dark mode classes. And this is use standard dark mode classes. Okay, so theme utils, cool here. Otherwise, top nav, yes, and the homepage content. Theme utils, that's in the Blitz app, that's fine. Going to go off the edge either way. I thought that might shift it left enough to keep it on screen, but no. Okay, so this will be the top nav flex. Let's just test this one guy out. I think this is going to work now. No, and we still don't get it, eh? Top nav flex container. I think we might need one of the others. I guess I need Tailwind merge because it's not a matter of simply re-rendering. I need to re-inject. Like if those Tailwind styles were not shipped to the page, when dark mode re-renders, they need to be supplied to the page. So if that's the issue, then I will need one of those extra libraries, I think. Yeah, this whole function is not rerunning. So I need to make the whole... Okay, so I thought by virtue of being in... Okay, this is interesting. So I thought by virtue of being in the provider, like the theme context, everything downstream would become dynamic, but that's not true, which is actually good news. That's actually good news because it means that the fact that I'm using dark mode is not lagging my whole site. That's actually good news. They're going to tell me to add use theme here to the top nav. Okay. But I bet once I do this, I don't need... Why are we passing the theme down? Yeah, so the theme is called, it's just not used. And that's just to make the thing dynamic. Okay, I'm so glad that that didn't work. That would really irritate me if that worked. You're importing a component that needs create context. Yes, but I'm doing it inside of a use client. That was a weird error. Oh, is the theme context itself not marked as use client? So it's toggling, yeah. Current theme is toggling, but the color is not being changed. Okay, so there's like some CSS that's not getting injected. This is a good move. The dark mode classes are present. Yeah. It's like the CSS is not being included in the bundle or something. The red background is not being rendered on toggle, is present on the div. What else? Dark is being added to the HTML tag. And further, other, well, one other component. Yeah, I'll just leave that. I'll just leave it at that. The base background color might be taking precedence over the dark mode variant. Yeah, that's true. That wasn't true in the blitz case, but maybe it's true here. Why would that be? With BG dash, maybe I'll just explicitly say light. Now neither one is applied. Look at that. There is no computed background color. Yeah, it's like the tailwind is not, it's like the tailwind style. It's like this home container is isolated from the tailwind style. Is that what's going on? Yeah, that's how it seems. Try moving the background color. I think this won't work, but I'll try it. Whoa, what? How did the cards change color too? That's crazy. And now it still works. Excuse me, what did you just do, you little AI? What in the AI wizardry? This ensures proper precedence in Tailwind's generated CSS. Yeah, that's exactly the issue. So somehow, I feel like Tailwind merge would fix this. Okay, all right, let's install Tailwind merge. Whew. If anyone wants to know why to use Tailwind merge, we figured it out. We'll clean all these comments up. Don't worry, I'm not going to commit this stuff. So theoretically now I get to do one of these, which is a lot cleaner. Is that it? Is that what I think I need to do? I think that's what I think I need to do. Oh, and start my server. That'll help. Where are we at, chat? What do you think? How's it going, huh? Throw some likes on the video for that. That was a win. A win is a win. Oh, nice. These are back. That's dope. Text content does not match the server. That's okay. That just happens when the circle shows up. I'll need to figure that out. Nope, we're back to not working. Darn. We are back to not working. Do I want to try the CLSX thing? Theme utils, theme context, top nav. Phlegathetic, that's a crazy name. What up, what up? Even with Tailwind merge, the component needs to re-render. Okay, that's understandable. So I still need top nav flex container. I've had the time of my life, and I owe it all to Tailwind. It's not working, homie. Okay, so let's move this use theme to the top of the top nav. So let's restore this. That's also not fixing it. I feel like I need to go ask GPT-4o. Let's ask GPT-4o. Theme utils, theme contacts, top nav. I don't know. What do you want to see, bud? I'll show you everything. should be used in the component itself. Yeah, it's getting like skimmed out, right? Top nav flex container. Not even in the parent, huh? Okay. They're not separate concerns. That's my issue, but I'll go with it. This still doesn't work, homie. I'm about to go to Google. Like, the language models in general are not helping me. VG light purple 2. Yeah, the issue is not on the rendering side. It actually is re-rendering. The issue is with the CSS that Tailwind is shipping. So I don't believe in Tailwind merge anymore. I don't believe in Tailwind merge. So Tailwind merge handles precedence. It allows BG Blue 500 to stomp on the former. Okay, so it's just a precedence handler. But this does not appear to be a precedence issue. The issue is that it's not being re-rendered. So is that more like a CLSX thing? Particularly useful when you need to apply classes conditionally or when you have a mix of static and dynamic class names. Okay, I'll try it. But honestly, I think I can drop these both and then just get away from using just get away from extracting it. Feels like maybe the smart move at this point. All right, let's try it though. Is it just npmi clsx? So usage is dropping. What about CX? This seems to me like a flag that I shouldn't need to use it. All right, let's see. What do you think, chat? Is this one going to work? I'm about to roll back all this stuff. Not optimistic. Yeah. How are we doing over here? This one doesn't complain if we start and refresh the page in one way or the other. It's so weird that it complains about that. Dude, type the issue into ChatGPT. I've been talking to ChatGPT. In Cursor, this is GPT 4.0 right here. And I also tried Sonnet. They're both failing me, so that's why I fell back to Google. So I could manually toggle it. I don't want to. I'd rather damp my code up. Yeah, we're not going to be doing use effect. No way. Okay. Tailwind doesn't send the styles of classes that aren't mentioned or included in the project. I was mixing up dark with some class name. But yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, it's excluding them from the bundle, and none of my plugins solve that issue. So I guess the only way to solve it is to have the dark literal in this string. So it looks like the reason this is weird to me is this was not the case in my blitz setup. But it looks like there's no way to dry this up. I have to just duplicate this string. So let's try that approach. Let's try that approach. Okay, so class name, we'll comment this. Okay, so it's there and it's not being toggled. Now if I have it literally, now it's being toggled. I hate that so much, dude. It's like a Tailwind bundle pruning issue, and the libraries are not solving it. Use a CSS file for dark mode. That's not going to happen. Explicitly include dark mode classes. Okay. So it's just like mention them in some file. And then you won't need to mention them in other files. That one kind of makes sense, actually. So if this, because this utils files is like standalone. But if I ensure that it's going to be included, in the critical path, but see, I'm importing it here. So it is being included in the critical path, and that's not good enough. No. So I'm throwing this out. It's not helpful. Okay, so the solution is to dampen the code, to just reiterate that phrase. That's fine. This was a rough discovery period. So we'll roll back these package changes. The layout is good, although maybe not necessary. But that's fine because I like the provider thing, and it solved my oh no, I still don't have the meta there. Land your next programming role. All right, so we still got to solve that meta, and then we'll be wrapping up. So here is the feat provider. Meme-tastic. Blitz client, we can remove you. Legacy layout, we can remove you. Okay, so this feet page wrapper doesn't use blitz. That's cool. Theme context. This was, I only did this because of the children thing, right? So I'll revert that. This was chaos over here. I'll revert this, and then I'll revert this. And I think what we learned is for whatever reason, this is a smell in the T3 stack. Let me check one more thing. I wonder if just the version of Tailwind. If it's a newer one, fine. So here's Tailwind CSS typography. So here's Tailwind 3.4. Is my legacy app using a newer Tailwind? Blitz package JSON. Tailwind 3.3. No, it's using an older Tailwind. And it's frozen. I wonder if I had some issue before and I decided to freeze it. What's the latest version of Tailwind? .3.4.14. I mean, that's, so I'm basically using it because I'm 3.4.3 with the up on the patch. Okay. So I won't do any Tailwind version changes to try and handle that. I will just avoid using this constant here. Let me delete the whole file. That's a scream pattern. That's a surefire way to make sure that I am not using it anywhere. It looks like I'm just using it in this file. So that's fine. Okay. And they stood for what? This. I guess I can have it in the file. Sick. You gotta love that, huh? Okay. Someone is still trying to import it, or is it trying to import it on the homepage, I think? So it isn't a matter of Blitz.js rerunning stuff. It's a matter of how Blitz.js bundles, and it's like eagerly bundling all the Tailwind. I wonder why. Okay, so this is toggling well. Let me see if I can cut more out. See if I can cut this use theme bit out. And still toggle well. Good. Okay. In fact, I'd like to break these lines so that I can see. Like, what's going on? I don't have a linter screaming at me, so I guess it's okay. What if I take column and move it down here? Does it handle that properly? It just lets it be front in the row. That's fine. I don't care. There's a bit of a height difference, yeah? Between this version and this version. Oh, that's the global. No, it's not. Where's that coming from? Four pixels padding bottom from where? From this layout CSS. PY1. So by concatenating, did I basically just clip them? Oh, no, I think it got lost in the back and forth with the language models. So once upon a time you had a PY1? Yeah, you did. Let's just straight up revert you. And then we can revert you. Can we revert the whole file? We can basically revert the whole file except keep this this damp block. We got that slight vertical padding, which I love. And it's looking good. The width is a little bit different. Oh, create account is absent. Login, create account. Account, login, create account. I guess I commented that on purpose, huh? Create. Create account. Oh, am I logged in? Is that the reason? It thinks I'm logged in. Okay, all right, that's fine. It thinks I'm logged in, but I haven't really dealt with the authentication stuff. That's okay. This part looks better. Homepage content, this part looks better too. So the feet here, dark mode toggle for top nav. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a win, even though it was pretty painful. But we learned some stuff. That's another win. 2 wins. We shipped and we learned. What else can you ask for?